Alright guys, so in this video we're taking a look at this new receiver from Happymodel. It's called the Speki Plus, and it's a Spectrum based DSM or Dsmx compatible receiver. It's 1.2 grams and has a voltage range of 3.6 to 13 volts. It comes, as you see here, with the receiver, some heat shrink. It comes with two diversity antennas and with some IPEX connectors and a SH 1.0 connector with 3 pins for the power ground and signal connectors that goes to your flight controller. You see the bind button there, and I'll throw up some photos here of the receiver, a little bit higher resolution photos than this. Now, this receiver is a little tricky to set up, and so let me just explain what you need to do to get this up and running. So obviously on one of the UARTs you'll have to enable SBus or serial RX. That's pretty standard. This is a serial-based receiver. But then under the receiver tab, you're going to select Spectrum 2048 SRXL as the protocol. That's what this is talking. It's not SBus. It's Spectrum 2048 SRXL. You do have to enable telemetry in the configuration page, and when you wire this up, the signal wire does not go to the RX, it goes to the TX of that UART. So that's a little bit different, and so I think it does everything on the TX instead of the RX for this particular receiver. I think there's a few other receivers out there that do that, but this is one of the few ones that actually uses the TX and not the RX. So it's very important. If you wire this up to the RX, this receiver will not work. The RSSI is on channel 8, or aux 8 is the actual channel that the RSSI is on. So works similarly to other receivers where RSSI is transmitted over an aux channel. Just use that, set that up in your receiver tab, and that will get your RSSI on the OSD. And the max channels on this is 12 total, and the channel mapping order should be TAER. I think that's pretty standard for Spectrum receivers. Okay, so in order to get this bound and working, for at least for me, on using a multi-protocol module, it was a little bit tricky. I couldn't get to work at first, and I'll explain why. So obviously, like most receivers, you press and hold the bind button down while you power it up, and then you get a fast flashing red light that's going to indicate that it's in binding mode. Okay, so you can see here, I put the receiver into binding mode. It's got a fast flashing red light. And then here under OpenTX, for the multi-protocol module here, external RF, in my case here, DSM. And then you want to select auto as the subtype. And then you want to change the channel range from 1 to, I think 7 is the default, to 1 to 12. And you want to make sure you bind like this, otherwise it's not going to work properly. So hit bind. Power cycle the quad. Okay, so you can see here now we have a solid red light. So that really ought to be it to get the receiver going and up and running. Now in terms of range, getting like 500 meters. And then it's really strange. The RSSI stays really strong right up to the edge. So it's like 100%, 100%, like 95%. And then right as you hit about 500 meters or so, it drops off really quickly. And all of a sudden you're like in the 20 to 30% RSSI range, and you get like a RSSI signal low warning from the radio. And then I have to quickly turn around. So it's not, it's typical 2.4 gigahertz, receiver type range, like for a lot of other receivers out there. But I was expecting a little bit more, but it seems like about 500 meters is the range for this particular receiver. Anyway, so if you're interested in the receiver, the link will be down in the description. Hopefully this tutorial has helped you set it up. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.